You are listening to the B.I.G Show with your hosts, Calvin and Garland. The B.I.G Show is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective.
Indeed.
Here are your hosts, Calvin and Garland.
It is the big show.
Big up, big up.
And we're back again. We getting consistent, but we're not going to get not going to say too much about it because we'll mess around next week and won't be. Yeah, it won't be.
Been consistent to be.
But it is Memorial Day weekend, and
right, we recording.
I'm just saying. We're here. We are live on YouTube. You'll get to see us on all your podcast platforms. If you have Spotify, you'll get to see our beautiful faces on there. And I think because I set up the Facebook last week, I think we live on Facebook again right now. Don't quote me, but I think we are playing with fire.
Face smash.
I'm Calvin. That's my guy Garland over there. What's going on, sir?
Bro, is it spring? Now I don't want to complain because it's 30 degrees outside, but because I know soon enough, come next month, it'll be 95 at 7 in the morning and we'll be complaining and everything. It'll be humid, all that other stuff. But spring ain't springing. Spring then went backwards and whatnot. But other than that, man, it's good to be alive. It's good to feel it on your skin and all those great things. I want to give a shout out real quick to my mother in love. She turned 91 today. My sister turned 63 on Wednesday. All these people it's made. Congratulations to all the graduates out there, people graduating from college, from high school,
season
from
of celebration.
Yes. Just it's all going on. So what about yourself? Is the landlord, has he gotten his degree yet?
The landlord, actually, if you saw, he's expanded his horizons.
I saw that.
He's now about to be a pool shark. He told us he not making enough money off the rent, so now he practicing his pool. He trying to think of a name. Minnesota Fats was already taken, so you might call him Baltimore Big Head.
Right. There was a Baltimore gangster called Big Head Brother. I was like, they didn't have any other creative names in the 60s for gangsters. They called that brother Big Head Brother, and he responded to that. Like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I saw him Scooby Pool like he was on the Flintstones. All right, buddy.
He was cheating, but he was just practicing. So he gotta learn the rules and learn the form and everything.
The ball like, all right, hold up. It remind me of when I was trying to teach you how to golf, and so like,
wait a minute. Well, I was getting ready to say I wasn't cheating, but if you remember in the podcast, we talked about how me and the wife we just kept teeing the ball up.
Teeing the ball down, that's how you play golf.
Hey man, what we got going on today?
Bro, we're going to talk a little. Hey, Brandon Hyde, he got the axe. We kind of predicted it a couple weeks ago, so we're going to talk a little Orioles, talk some NBA playoffs. It was an exciting game. Pacers versus Knicks the other night. Tyrese Halliburton giving out the big choke sign. Your boy SGA, he's putting it on the T-Wolves, won MVP. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The Tush Puss, it still lives. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I'm going to add this to our list real quick. The death of Robert Irsay. Well, Jim Irsay, his father is Robert Irsay. The death of the Colts owner, Jim Irsay. We're going to talk a little... a couple of things we're just going to be all over the place, but let's start off with Caleb Williams. If you remember, just a couple of weeks ago, quarterback Caleb Williams was so concerned about being picked by the Chicago Bears in 2024 that he and his family weighed circumventing the entire NFL draft, consulting lawyers to figure out a way around the league's collective bargaining agreement while considering signing with the United Football League. Details from a forthcoming book entitled American Kings, a biography of the quarterback that's written by Chef Wickersham, who's a reporter for ESPN. And in the book, Wickersham, he talks about how their viewpoint of the Bears organization is that it was an organization where quarterbacks go to die. And so Caleb and his father, Carl, they consulted with attorneys to figure out a way around the league's collective bargaining agreement. He also talked with Archie Manning about what he did for his son Eli Manning to force the Chargers to trade him in the 2004 draft. And they even explored signing with Dwayne Johnson's UFL to enter the NFL as an unrestricted free agent this year. And so they even flirted with going the route of what John Elway did to the Colts. As a matter of fact, mentioning Bob Irsay and Jim Irsay, and his father Jack did back in 1983 when they tried to force the Colts to not draft him and to trade him some way. And as a matter of fact, there was even talk in the book. He talks about a thing that he had met the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and they decided he wanted to go play for the Vikings, and so they were trying to do whatever they could to try to maneuver to get the Vikings, get to the Vikings, or have the Vikings draft them. And so finally, after going out and visiting the Bears organization, Caleb Williams, he just decided, hey, look, I can handle it. Let's go ahead and do it. And so,
Good for
Calvin,
him.
over the last several years, we've seen the emergence, at least on a professional level, of helicopter parents. I mean, we have Dion, Subprime and Shador. Let me call the man by his correct name.
That
We have
is
That's his name. We have Subprime and Shador. We got LeBron and Bronny. Here we got Carl and Caleb. We had Archie Manning, Eli Manning, and this is not the only, parent trying to force their child onto something else or better situation. Is this a good thing for sports?
so well. Let's not even say is it a good thing for sports. Is it a good thing for the athlete? We can go back to Todd Marinovich. If you remember, his daddy was from the
Yep.
day he was born, grooming him to be an NFL quarterback. Now, if you're just looking at that goal of being an NFL quarterback, he was successful, and all of these parents have been successful in at least getting their children to the professionals. Let's talk about LeVar Ball. Let's add LeVar Ball to that.
Yes.
They've been successful in getting their children to the pros. Now, what happens when they get in the pros is something totally different. Is the goal the pros, or is the goal to be the best you can be? If we look at Marinovich, we know that ended in
Correct.
absolute
Didn't
disaster.
end well.
Yeah, I don't even think their relationship lasted his pro career. I think shortly after he got in the pros, him and his father's relationship just deteriorated.
Mhm.
The Ball's relationship seemed to be good, but the first one to come in, that was Lamelo, came in. He's a decent player. Um,
He's had a lot of injuries.
yeah, had a lot of injuries. He's a
He's had a
decent
lot of
player, but he
injuries.
won't go down in the Hall of Fame. The
Mhm.
second brother is, we could say he's an all-star.
Yes.
He's had injuries, but we could say
Yes.
he's an all-star. The third brother went overseas and was stealing. I
Right.
mean, you know,
Well, he had the
it,
number one rap hip over last summer.
he
Let's not
did.
forget
I
that.
didn't know. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We get to Caleb, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen with him. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with Shador. They all like to compare themselves to the Mannings and what the Mannings did, but at the end of the day, Eli won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, if you want to compare yourself, you have to wait until the body of work ends. So to answer your question, I don't know if helicopter parenting affects the actual sport, but how does it affect the child? How does it affect the athlete? That's what we really want to know. We know all too well how non-parenting affects athletes. We see how great parenting, especially mothering. We look at Lamar Jackson. We look at the young boy now in DC. I don't know why I always forget his name. The quarterback in DC. We see how their mothers are really in their careers, and it's working out well for them so far. So I don't know if it's a problem for the sport, but I guess each individual child, it just remains to be seen how it works out for them. And Dion's kids, there's nothing wrong with them.
No, no.
It's just
I
yeah, there's
think
nothing
what
wrong.
we're starting to see though, and I mean, it's amazing. I guess my generation, your generation too, you're kind of almost at the tail end of my generation. Um, maybe it's because our parents worked. They didn't have time to come up and berate the
That's
coach.
yeah,
They didn't
yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
have time to come up and yell at the coach to tell them to put their child in. And we really had to work hard for those opportunities. It was definitely different. I think in some aspects, we have sometimes we've over-parented a child in some aspects. We want
I
them to
can see
have the
that.
best of everything, the things that we did not have, especially, and I think this comes out of the latchkey child generation. You and I, that,
I was latchkey.
hey, we had to do a lot. We were part of the house, and so we were like
Yes.
little adults in a lot of
Yes.
aspects. And so we really, in some aspects, we didn't really have childhoods, and we want to give these children everything, get them in all of the activities and make sure they succeed and all this and push them. And I don't have anything against, trying to encourage your child to achieve. I know when my girls were playing sports, I try to always leave it up to them in terms of if they want to continue. If they came back the next year and say, "Hey, Dad, can you sign me up?" Then we went to do it. But I understand that there's a thin line between a Williams sisters and Richard Williams.
I forgot to mention
Right,
him.
forgot about
Yes.
him and us. you know, Now to be a Williams sister, you needed a obsessive father who's just over the top. When you look at people who get to that level, you got Tiger Woods and his daddy. You had the
Forgot
Williams
about
sisters and their
forgot
daddy.
about Earl.
Yeah, if we go into entertainment, you had Joe Jackson, beating the snot out of the Jackson kids. And so you always have this obsessive parent that's pushing people, their children, almost to the edge so they can get the stardom.
Hmm.
And I don't think it hurts anything like that, but I think maybe what we're going to start to see going forward with more of this generation, we're going to see more parents involved in the decision making of their children when they get to this level. Um, I mean, LeBron, he was able to leverage his celebrity and his contract and his influence to get his son on his team. I mean, that's unprecedented.
And they're talking about maybe he's going to do it with the second child,
Oh
with the
Lord,
second
yeah,
boy.
yeah. Now that would be crazy. Maybe he gonna wait
That
around for
would
the
be
daughter. Is he
crazy.
gonna go play in the WNBA and wait
She's
around for
going.
the daughter?
She going to either be in the WNBA or the next Genie Bus. She going to be the team
Right,
owner.
right. Well, he want to be a owner. He want to. If they put a team in Vegas, he's already been putting in his bid to
Nice.
be the owner of that and stuff. And so we'll see. I don't think it's bad for sports. I don't necessarily think it's great in some aspects because a lot of times, as parents, they're taking them shots. Especially, I have to give Subprime some credit. Although Subprime was shooting off his mouth about where he wanted his son to go play during the season. He did take a lot of bullets to protect his son in this process. I was trying to compare, and I heard Bomani say this on his podcast, so I'm not going to try to steal it like it's just my original idea. But he was saying that, how people were saying that, Shador, as a strong black man, he was held back. That's why, he had an opinion and they didn't want to draft him high because they were teaching him and his daddy a lesson. But here you have Caleb Williams. Him and his father was trying to destroy the whole system, and they rewarded him with the number one pick. And so I guess it really came down to talent for Shador versus the talent that Caleb had. Because although Caleb was trying to disrupt the system, he still was the best player in that draft, and they still took him
Mhm.
number one. So um, let's bring in our expert to kind of we got an expert, y'all, that's joining us that's going to give us a little opinion of this, and I want to give her intro before we bring her in. Her name is Leslie Gray Streeter, and she's born in hood adjacent Baltimore City. She is a columnist for the Baltimore Banner, a City College of Baltimore alum, a
City
University of,
forever.
yeah, City forever, I know, a University of Maryland College Park graduate. She's a veteran journalist and someone always looking for new ways to tell stories, both her own and those in her communities. She's the author of the memoir Black Widow, a sad, funny journey through grief for people who normally avoid books with words like journey in the title. She's the co host of the podcast Fine Beats and Cheeses, along with her sister, and a frequent speaker on grief. She's also a slow runner, an amateur vegan cook, and a fan of Law and Order. She lives in Baltimore, Maryland, with her son, who's named after probably the most famous Oriole that we all know, Brooks Robinson.
Hmm.
She has a new book coming out on June 1st, Family and Other Calamities, a novel, which has been selected as an Amazon First Read selection. She's a successful journalist. This is the character in the book. A successful journalist, Dawn Roberts, returns to her hometown just as her biggest mistake becomes headline news in this vibrant, funny, and heartfelt novel about facing the past and the secrets head on. As a matter of fact, I read a couple chapters. It's a very good book. So, without any further ado, let's welcome to our show Leslie Grace Streeter.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Leslie.
Hello. We official. We got claps.
You got
Uh,
What?
claps.
The clap
I went and
break.
got a haircut for you. I just want to let you know. I didn't
That's
mention that
amazing.
earlier. And he
I
Beijing me up on the hairline. Just want to
do
let
that.
you know.
I got new makeup for this. So there you go.
I'm not mad at
Yeah.
I have
you.
I have been a guest on the Fine Beats and Cheeses podcast. So thank you for returning the favor and blessing us with your expertise.
Oh.
But before we get into anything, how was your Mother's Day?
Mother's Day was fun because I literally, because I'm a single mother. So I have an 11-year-old child who has no money. But I said, listen, I'm going to go on a walk by myself. I'm going to gift you my Uber Eats account.
Ooh.
You pick breakfast, but pick something you
Nice.
think that I would like. And he went, okay. So I came back and he ordered crab soup right on. He of course ordered himself more than he ordered me. But we're it started. He picked, he was right on. Really great soup, the crackers, he didn't even eat my oyster crackers. He did the
Okay.
whole situation. So we're getting there. I'm just trying to raise a conscientious child who's not a
There you go.
jackass. So,
Okay, okay.
Raise them up
That
in the way
works.
that they should go.
you
That's what the
know,
old preacher said, right?
this is where we are. And just he's a really good kid.
Good.
He just also is almost 12, so he's also selfish and terrible. So,
Hey,
Well, we definitely want to get into the book. And for
definitely.
those of you that have heard, the book is also free until June the 1st if you go on and subscribe to Audible or if you subscribe to Amazon Kindle. So if you go on there and subscribe, the book will be free. The audio version of the book will
yeah.
be free up until
Yeah.
June the
We don't want y'all
1st.
to get it for free though. We want y'all to buy it.
Buy the book. But yeah,
Buy
the
the book.
Kindle version's also free as well if you're an Amazon Prime member. I know people have issues with Amazon. I get it, but also pay me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Hey, somebody's got to give Scrooge McDuck his money, and so it might as well be us, right?
Might as well be us. Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us about the latest publication, your first novel. Tell us
First
about
novel. So my first book was a memoir about my widowhood, and people go, "Oh no!" But it was actually funny. It was sad and funny, like the title said. And so the novel is about a woman who is, on the surface, somewhat like me, black Baltimore journalist, married to a Jewish guy, and then it all changes. It's basically she moves to LA because something terrible happens. She gets something stolen from her, a story stolen from her. She moves back 20 she comes back 25 years later when her husband dies, and she brings his ashes back.
Right.
And then the guy that she was friends with, who stole the story from her, that like catapulted her into like craziness, is making a movie about it, and she's the villain.
it.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Ooh. And so there's lots of 90s references. Like I refer to him as like Morris Chestnut like. I refer to him as the vampire Levert. And my editor goes, Lestat? I
Vampire
go,
Levert.
no, it's a black reference. Black people understand it's
Right.
Levert,
Right.
whatever. So it's very Baltimore. It's based like me. The character Dawn is raised in Northwood. There's references to Morgan. There's references to um, modern things like the Sagamore Pintry, which is my favorite hotel.
Hmm.
My most favorite hotel, the Ivy, which is
Yes.
like the
Hmm.
very fancy black owned place.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
With my other things, there's references to that. There's references to like why black people feel weird driving out in the county. There's all kinds of stuff. There's like you have to be crazy and very picky about who you get crabs from. That whole thing. So it's very Baltimore. It's very black. It's very also, I think, something that's applicable to people our age who are basically, it's about the fact that when you're younger you make decisions because you think you know who you are and who what your role is in a story, and the older you get you go, maybe I'm the villain, maybe I'm not, I don't know.
Mhm.
And people have been okay with their role in that story and realize I'm not the main character. Other people are the main character in their story.
Okay.
So, and there's also a mysterious R&B diva. There's a
Yes,
sing along. Luther
Vivi.
Vandross is involved. It's a whole situation. So,
Nice, nice.
Shmeeby Schmunder. He's in
Schmiedy
it as well.
Schmunder.
Shmeeby
This is what
Schmunder.
I'm
I told
talking
you I
about.
read a couple chapters.
Schmiedy Schmunder. Once again,
Mhm.
it's like if you were not Gen X, you'd be like, "What?" It's like, yes, it's like this character who just says, "Yes, all of Songs of the Key of Life was about me," and it's like,
Mhm.
what does that mean? And if it doesn't mean anything to you, it's okay. But if it means something to you, I was writing for us. I was writing for those of us whose parents were listening to, well, Smokey's having issues, but Smokey and the Temptations and Earth, Wind and Fire cleaning the house at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
You know what? As you say that, Leslie, I was thinking like Smokey. I mean, we should have. He sent out a warning shot last year when he released the album entitled "Gasms." Maybe we should
No.
have. We should have known then that something was up with Smokey. That our grandfather was releasing an album entitled "Gasms."
At 80 years old
Yeah,
or
at
whatever.
80 years old. All right. Anyway, now.
And the young and I was defending him online because younger people was like, "What do you mean this old man?" It's like old people get to think about sex. I'm like, "Oh
Sure they
no,
do. Sure they do, but you don't want Pop talking about no gasms. Now, let
no,
me ask
keep it at home, keep it
Good
away."
evening to everyone
right,
except Smokey Robinson.
right.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. Now, in the book, the character Dawn, she has, I guess, kind of her origin story of becoming a journalist. She sees it's not Peter Jennings, it's the other ABC guy, Sam
Sam
Donaldson.
Donaldson.
She sees
Yeah.
Sam Donaldson, and it's like, oh wow, he has this power. The president, Ronald Reagan, scared to call him to ask questions. Was that your birth story into wanting to be a journalist as well? Like you saw something that kind of sparked something to you. So like, wow, I would love to use the power of words and
Yes.
all of these things. Tell us
Sam
a little bit
Donaldson.
about your origin story. Mhm.
It's so funny because when you're younger, you don't understand why politics are politics. But I remember my parents loving Jimmy Carter,
Mhm.
also being very sad that Jimmy Carter lost. And I was
Sure.
like, why? They're like, just because. And I remember literally watching Sam Donaldson and his eyebrow and his trench coat
Yes.
and being just in charge. And it literally, he said later he liked Ronald Reagan, but he understood his job was to challenge him. And even though I did not like Ronald Reagan, I understand, I respect that he's like, my personal understanding is not the same as my job. And I
Mhm.
remember as a kid watching him be kind of smug and go, "Ooh, what's this?" And
Sure.
so yeah, so Dawn as a little girl saying to her dad, "So who's that guy? The president's scared of him." He goes, "Yeah, that's journalism." I'm like, "Okay." And I hate to say that the child is here. Okay, and then he's going goodbye. That people are not afraid of the president, and they should be.
Right.
People are not, and without saying enough that's going to get me doxxed, I will say that mainstream journalism, people who have direct contact with people, should be a little more clear about the rules. But this character, Dawn, like me, went, how do I write and get paid? Journalism, that's a cool thing. Let's do that. And that she, even though she makes a lot of mistakes, she also always has this guiding principle that the truth is a thing and the people and what's good for them are the thing versus the thing that benefits rich people or the people in power.
Sure.
And I write mostly about, like, I love lifestyle stuff and entertainment, and we all have had conversations about entertainment and This Is Us and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, I try to see things through a realistic lens. I can only see things also as a black woman from Baltimore because that's my truth, and I also
Mhm.
have other perspectives. But I'm honest about the fact that at the end of the day, I, as a columnist, see things not like that's the only thing I can see, but that's the lens that I see it. And white guys, Sam Donaldson saw things through his privilege as a white man, right? He
Sure.
doesn't have to say it because he was a white man who was straight, who was in charge, and that's fine. we all have our biases and our whatever, and I'm very honest about it. But I think that I still can see, because as Black people, we have to understand whiteness in a way that white people don't have to understand Blackness, right?
Definitely. We know
Because
everything about them.
we have to, if we're going to live in the world and go to college and live in their be in the professions and that kind of thing. And it's not even a tax; it just is what it is, right?
Right.
So I understand more about whiteness than white people ever understand about Blackness, because they get to pick and choose. And
Yeah.
moving back to Baltimore from Florida was such a welcome bath of like all the things, a validation of all the things I thought that I was upholding. And I'm so glad to be back here.
What makes Baltimore special? What is it about Baltimore that has that energy, that feeling?
We are scrappy. We are, it's so funny because you look at
Hmm.
people like Philadelphia who are like, when they win, they riot. When they lose, they riot. And it's
Right.
gonna be a bunch of people beating up Santa Claus and throwing batteries at him and whatever. And people think that's what Baltimore is. And we're not. We're a little like that, but not like that. Because we understand that everyone's gunning for us and they're waiting for us to screw up, right? Baltimore is a proud place that I know so many people that grew up here, left. We are never coming back, and came back.
Sure.
And not because we had to, but because we felt that we needed to be in this place. Baltimore, I wanted my son to come in 2020 when everything was madness, because I wanted him to be near his family. I wanted him to be in a majority Black place where he looked around and saw people of every echelon of society and economics who looked like him. We got the dudes on the street, the squeegee boys, Black,
Hmm.
the post office people, Black, the mayor, the journalists, the controllers, the governor, everybody's Black. And that you don't have to be any of those people, but that you know that's a possibility, that there's nothing telling you that you can't be this thing because you're Black, because we're all over the place. Baltimore is weird and at the same time both kind of dirty and super fancy. And it's, we have our own way of living, and I think that we've learned to not give a crap about what people from DC, and I'm PG adjacent because my family's from Prince George's County. My cousin is former Prince George's County executive and now United States Senator Angela Also Brooks. You know,
She's cute.
that's my cousin. So I'm from Prince George's
Sir.
County. Yeah, she cute. I'm from Prince George's
She's cute.
County, fancy bougie people who would
Right.
go Baltimore. I'm like, yes, because my parents went to Morgan and never left.
Hmm.
So we were like, literally like the descendants, and we would have to go down the parkway. My dad would go, the parkway runs both ways, right? Y'all can come here. They're like, okay, I guess,
Sure.
you know. But I love it here, and I'm so happy to be here because we have worked it out. We have worked out, and we're warts and all, man. You know, we are a place that is, we're proud of our diversity, and we're proud of our weirdness, and we're proud of also our heights and our lows. That like, it's funny to us. I mean, not that you want like people to get like beat up or whatever, but
Sure.
it happens everywhere. People get beat up. I would say when I was in Florida, I'm from Baltimore. People go, "Oh, it's so violent." And I go, "Like no one ever got shot where you lived in Trenton, New Jersey, sir.
Right.
You know,
Right.
or West Palm Beach, Florida, or Miami, where the German tourists got killed all through the '90s." But they didn't talk about it. I think because our uniqueness, that we were Black and connected to so many different things, makes us both a target and both really super proud.
Yeah, when I was in college and I used to tell people I was from Baltimore, I went to Hampton University,
Mhm.
and the first thing people would say, "Do you live near the inner harbor?" And so the thing, I think people don't get that the Baltimore is such a diverse neighborhood city,
Oh.
and that even being from the sides of town are different. From being from West Baltimore to East Baltimore is two totally different things that people just can't get that. They don't really get that understanding. So I agree with you. It's just I always tell people I love my little rat hole city, although I don't live in my rat hole city anymore. I live in Harford County. I know Calvin says Harford Hills. Um, uh,
And how
as
dare you?
as
Yeah.
every city boy who grew up in a row home, we want grass around the side of our house, and so
And I feel that. I just being in West Palm Beach where we had a yard and a backyard and a thing and
yeah.
a driveway. And then my sister and her family live in Annapolis. So they've got
Hmm.
done a cul-de-sac. And when I moved back, I thought, where do I want to be? And I was very honest. I wanted to be in a brick 3-story townhouse. Now we live next to Patterson Park.
Okay.
So my realtor goes, there's your yard. Your yard's over there. You don't
Right.
even have to mow it.
Right.
But and every like couple months I go to someone's house who has like a land. Like we were just in Westchester County with friends in New York and they got chickens in the backyard. And it's wonderful. And I thought, I don't want to mow this. I'm fine.
Hmm.
It's fine.
Right. Right. Hey, go ahead, Cal.
No, I was just going to say we definitely thank you for sharing with us because our audience is just the sports people. So we definitely thank you for blessing us.
Some of us read books.
The books. Well, I listen to the audio books. You know what I mean?
I'm not. I
I
want
listen
to talk
to the
about you.
audio.
I want to talk
All
about you. I
right,
was talking about the other.
I
I was
listen
talking
to
about
the
our
audio
listeners.
books.
There's nothing wrong with audiobooks.
Thank
Nothing.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any appearances or anything you want to tell us about or how to
Yes.
contact you?
Lynn and I, my sister Lynn Schroeder Childers and I will be, and I can't remember the date. I'm forgetting. In June at the main library at Enoch
Okay.
Pratt,
Sweet.
in conversation in the afternoon. I'll get you those dates. It's funny because I always tell my kid before the internet, you'd have to go to the library to find the book that you needed for class, and everybody else needed it. And we would go to Northwood and go, "Do you have it?" They go, "No." We'd have to get on the number 3 bus and like go down to
Hmm.
Cathedral.
Yes.
And so every time I go there, I go like, this is where I went to save my butt to buy a thing. We're going to be at the Arbutus Baltimore County Library on June 29th. We also have appearances coming up at Snug Books in Baltimore near Hamilton.
Hmm.
We have also, if you guys are listening, in West Palm Beach, in Miami, and in New Orleans. So, and we're
Sweet.
working on some other stuff. I was previously at I was at, I'm also the Ivy Bookshop in, in Baltimore and Mount Washington.
Hmm.
I was at the Annapolis Book Festival, doing a bunch of stuff. So my last book came out right after a week before lockdown in 2020, and everything. I was supposed to be on the Today Show with Jenna
Wow.
and Hoda, and it went bloop bloop. Everything
That's
got canceled.
crazy.
Terrible. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're working on stuff.
Okay.
But um, I'm trying to just get this out there because I think it's important for people in our 50s to say you can always reinvent it. This is my first novel, right? It's my second book, my first novel, and that there's never too old. Also, if you are I'm single and putting it out there. If y'all know anybody who's not terrible, who has a job and is like financially solvent, y'all can reach them.
Hey, we're Tinder, so we're Tinder the sports world, so we can definitely get you hooked up.
The book is called Family and
Hey,
Other Calamities.
before we let it go,
Oh,
one quick question,
Yes,
one final question. And I know you're a lifestyle writer and everything, but you've been a reporter as well.
yes.
What just give us a quick answer on this? What's your thoughts on the state of journalism right now in the country? I mean, journalism is being attacked by Trump in the White House. We got censoring all over the place. Newspapers are shuttering. Um, I mean, you got the head of 60 Minutes. He quit
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
yeah. And so, just briefly, as we continue to go forward into this reporting and holding, this because journalism is our truth, is for holding people accountable. What's your thought about that?
We're fighting for our lives, and I think that too many of our corporate brethren have given in. I think that too
Hmm.
many people have been like, in people that I know personally who have been like, they've complied in advance. And I think that when you have, not to, you know ring the bell for my personal publication, but people like the Baltimore Banner, people who are nonprofit journalism, who have said we're going to try to tell the truth. And we all have biases because we're humans, right? Nobody is perfect. Nothing is completely unbiased, even though we try to be, right? But I think that there are people, the Texas Tribune, there's some student journalists out there who are just kicking butt because they don't care, and they don't care about censorship, or they're just out there doing their thing. And I truly believe that there are people who will, no one who has access is asking questions and saying that's a lie. That's not true. What are you talking about? But I believe there are people, and I try my best. Like my story on Monday will be about, in the Baltimore Banner, will be about Memorial Day and what that means when we're denying benefits to veterans, and we are erasing the history of Black veterans like my granddad.
Mm,
So what does that mean? And i I will usually get really good feedback and get one person going, you're a racist. I'm like, whatever,
sure.
nobody cares. But I don't care, because I'm going to do the best I can to keep my family safe and also tell the truth. So I think that we have to not worry about what's popular. We have to say, is that true? Because so much is happening. Journalism is just not journalism anymore. It's also people who take feeds and lie about it, and people who go on TikTok and go, I'm a journalist. People
Right.
go on Instagram, I'm a journalist, and there's no journalism there. There's no discernment. There's no research. There's no knowledge. There's just, I saw a thing, or people ripping it off a headline and someone going, you didn't write that. That's not you. It's crazy. It's the Wild West right now. It's Tombstone, right? And
Sure.
so my favorite movie, R.I.P. Val Kilmer. And there's a lot happening, but I think that those of us who have the wherewithal and the experience, 32 years in newsrooms at this point, for me, I'm trying very hard to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Fantastic. Thank
Nice.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, the book is called Family and Other Calamities. Make sure you read her columns in the Baltimore
Yes.
Banner. We
Yes. Great
definitely
columns.
want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you
The
guys.
author, city grad,
Yes.
columnist,
Yes.
overall great person,
Yes.
Thank you.
podcaster, Leslie Gray Streeter. Thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
we
Thank you.
will,
Happy Friday.
Yeah. Happy
yes,
Friday to you as
happy
well.
Friday. And hope, wish you well for everything. And make sure you got to get the book. See you later, Leslie.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Hey, man, that was great. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Amazing. You know what?
We need to
We
get
got
set
to
up with
start
more guests.
expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we got to start expanding. I mean,
Oh, we need
damn,
more
we keep
guests.
talking about with these bum ass Orioles we got out here. We need to start expanding. We might need to go to different do some more podcasts other than sports. We got to do something. That was amazing.
It was. It
Shit.
was.
I mean, I feel like I'm more cultured, and all she did was talking about her book, but she did drop some Baltimore in there. Love it,
Love it.
love it.
Love it.
So anyway, so what else we got going on in the world of sports?
All right, man. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit. You brought up baseball, and so let's go ahead and talk about the firing of Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde was fired last Saturday by GM Mike Elias. Hyde, who served as the Orioles manager over the last 7 seasons, could not overcome a poor start by his team this season, who have been beset by injuries to several key players and a losing record as well. Calvin, the Orioles were 15-28 this season under Hyde. His overall record after 7 years in Baltimore was 421 and to 493. The Orioles, now they were supposed to be a team on the rise after back-to-back playoff appearances, but is the performance of the team Hyde's fault or Elias's fault?
Uh, that's a good question. I thought you were
Thank
going to
you.
say Hyde's fault or the team's fault. That's a great question. If you notice anything about baseball, baseball has a culture. When the team's not doing well, either the on-field manager and the general manager go, or the on-field manager goes, and then the general manager gets a little bit more time. And it seems
Yes.
like right now that he's getting a little bit more time. I personally think that this is all Elias's fault. I think the general manager for the Orioles are at fault. However, with that being said, prior to this season and Brandon Hyde's first couple seasons, the last two seasons, the Orioles have had the most wins in baseball. You can't take that lightly. That's still a joint effort there. Um, but I do believe the philosophy that Elias has, the not wanting to pay for big names, not paying their players, I think all of that has an effect. What we've noticed and what we've always talked about is that the Orioles need pitching,
Mm-hmm.
and the we just did not, after losing Corbin Burns. You're replacing him with Charlie Morton, you're replacing him with Sagano. I mean, these guys are Burns produced last year. And they did not give him exactly what he wanted. And at some point, you got to pay a golden arm. The Orioles need the pitching. So I do think it's Elias's fault. I know a lot of people were calling for Brandon's Hyde's job, or Brandon Hyde's Hyde, after the sweep, the second
Right.
sweep in the
Last year.
playoffs last year, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't think was his fault. They lost 1-0 and 2-1. He can't hit the ball. He kept switching pitches in that last game, and people were like, "Why is he doing that?" They only got 2 runs. I mean, I thought he actually did a good job in coaching those two wild card games, but the Orioles just did not produce. I would have liked to have seen with Brandon Hyde leaving. They released another manager that he had, but I would have liked to see the pitching and the hitting coaches go too, especially the hitting coaches. Pitching has gotten a little bit better, but the hitting coaches have not been. And since Hyde has been fired, the Orioles have what, 1 win? So it's not like it was Hyde's fault. You know what I mean? That's proof right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Hyde's fault. The roster is just not put together to be a winner this season.
I would say it was both, a little bit of both. I've had my problem with Hyde, and I've documented it here well on the show. I was not a lover of the way that he handled the pitching staff. I was not. I was kind of puzzled by his lineups often, where he was playing people and where
You
he
know
was
that's
batting
Elias'
them.
lineup. You know that's not Hyde's lineup.
I know it's a part of the metrics that they use, and they're developing all of that, the saber metrics or whatever they use. I know it's all coming out of the computer, but um, hey, it ultimately lands with the a
It does.
manager, and
It does.
and so
It
you
does.
know, I I just did not. I didn't think in some instances he handled the pitching staff that well. And yeah, some of the lineups were a little janky. I agree with you. I don't think Elias did him any favors in the offseason in terms of building up that roster. They needed a bat last year when they were going into the playoffs at the deadline. They did not. They went and got some people off of the waiver wire that they're not even in baseball anymore. We needed some pitching. They would not budge on any of those prospects to go out and get a top pitcher. They did not, give Burns a top offer. Understand that, he went back to his home state. He wanted to be closer to home to play, but they could have really gave him an offer he could not refuse. I think their handling of the injured pitchers. I mean, they should have went ahead and shut down Bradish earlier. Maybe they should have just let him go ahead and get the Tommy John at the beginning of last year. He would be pitching now. And so, in some instances, they have been snake bitten, like the injuries to Grayson Rodriguez and to some of the other pitchers. Some of the decisions that they made to keep people. I think letting Tony Taters go was not the greatest thing. I mean, you went and signed O'Neal, but O'Neal's issue has been he's never been healthy enough to play 150 games. Santander has played at least 150, 152 games the last 3 seasons. And so he was someone that you could pencil into the lineup
Hmm.
every day, and he gave you respectable defense.
Hmm.
Now you got Hertzstad. I don't know who you have out on in the outfield half the time. You got a guy that you really brought in to be a bat against left-handed pitching. He's playing every day now, Laureano. And so yeah, I don't think Elias did Hyde any favors with building that roster, and I don't necessarily think Hyde did himself any favors as well. And so with that in mind, who do you want to be the next Orioles manager?
I don't know. Let me put that. If you're not stealing anyone from another team, you're not stealing the Terry Francona, guys like that I don't know. Um, I
You
hear a lot of people calling for Buck to come back. Let me say this.
you ain't going nowhere with Buck. You're gonna
I
win
was
some
about to
games.
say
You're gonna get back to the playoffs, but you ain't gonna win no World
I'm a
Series with
Buck
Buck.
Showalter fan, but what has he won? What has Buck won? Has Buck even won a World Series? Has Buck even been to a World Series?
No,
I don't
he's never
believe he
won a
has.
World Series.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling for Buck back. I don't know. So baseball is a little different. Their managers really aren't high profile, especially like they used to be, unless you're talking about back in the day, like guys like Jim Leyritz. I
Mhm.
mentioned Francona. Um, what was the guy with the Mets that wore the mustache after he got kicked out? Bobby.
Bobby Valentine.
Bobby Valentine. You know what I mean? Names you knew. Managers in baseball aren't really that high profile anymore. So I
Mhm.
really don't know. I know there was some talk about bringing Flaherty in. Flaherty's supposed to be, I think he's a coach in Chicago now. He's a coach in the White Sox, but bringing Ryan Flaherty back to possibly manage the team. But I think it's one of these things now where you have to get with these young Orioles, you have to get a guy that's stern. Sometimes it seems like Hyde was a little too passive. You got to get a guy that's stern. You got to get a baseball guy, and you may have to get a name, even if it's just a semi name. You may have to get somebody that commands respect from everyone in baseball, just so the team can feel like it's moving in the right direction. If you get another guy that's just a bench coach here that may not be a proven winner, they might feel like they're just trying to build together. Maybe they're looking for a leader, and maybe Hyde just wasn't that guy. So I don't know who they should get. I don't know if I should trust the lies to get who they should get, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, you got some names out here. Joe Girardi is out here.
Got you, Roddy. Yeah,
Joe Madden, who coached the Tampa Bay Rays to a World Series win.
I actually
He
like
last
Madden.
managed the Angels. Phil Nevin, he coached the Angels in 2023. David Ross, who was managed the Cubs, he was in the booth for a while. I think he won a couple of championships as a player. He coached the 2023 Cubs, of course, Showalter. These are ex managers between jobs, and then some up and comers I've never really heard of. Ryan Flaherty, he played here in Baltimore. He's a
That's what I
Cubs
mentioned.
bench coach.
Flaherty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you mentioned Flaherty. Ricky Weeks, he played baseball before. He's a associate manager in the Brewers system. And let's see, you got some no names. Oh, we had one here, but we let him go. Freddie Gonzalez. He was a former Marlins and Braves manager. He was the Orioles bench coach last year, but they let him go. Did not bring him back. Don Mattingly, he's out there. And so, yeah, you got. I think they need a name.
they
Brad
need to know.
Osmus,
I
he's a,
agree.
Yankees bench coach. He comes out of that Astros, Tigers whole metrics system. So
That's where
he
Hyde
might
came
be.
from.
Yeah, yeah, that's where High came. Yeah, he came out of that system. He came out of Chicago though, High. But and so yeah, there's some people out here. I think you need a name. I would like to see a name. I like to see someone that's established, someone that's going to change the culture. I think also they're going to need somebody that's just not going to live off of sabermetrics. That's just not going to live off of the numbers. You just can't. I mean, I understand you had great success with the Astros, but the Astros did have Jose Altuve. They had Bregman. They had
They
Verlander.
they
They,
had trash cans.
yeah, outside of the trash cans, they didn't even need the trash cans. But
They really didn't.
eh,
That's
eh,
that's the worst part of that whole
that's
cheating
our
thing. They didn't
yeah.
even need it.
They didn't need the trash
Anyway,
cans,
anyway.
and even with the trash cans, they still was able to hit. And so you could take steroids and still be like Brady Anderson and bat 200. And so
Right, right in front of company, you gonna talk about Brady
Bro.
like that?
Yeah,
You
you
just
know it's the
like Jim
truth.
Palmer. Why you doing
Don't
in
talk
front of
about Jim
company?
Palmer. No,
No, you just acting like Jim Palmer.
oh,
Jim Palmer did that on the air one day. Put Brady out there like
yeah,
that
he
some
don't like
years
Brady.
ago.
He don't
He
like
just
Brady.
yeah, he
He
don't
don't
like
like
Brady.
Brady.
I
He
mean,
don't
but
like
damn, in front of company, bro. Like
Hey,
damn, Brady,
everybody
man,
knew it. Everybody knew it. All
50
right.
home runs.
Right. That one season. They ain't never touched it since. And then it was broke up the rest of the time.
Damn, in front of company. Come on,
Hmm.
man.
Anyway. NBA playoffs, the conference finals started this week in the West. OKC, led by our 2025 MVP, SGA, Shea Gilgis Alexander, have a 2-0 lead over the Timberwolves. SGA, he scored over 30 points in 9 playoff games so far this playoff season, and he's averaging 29.9 points per game over the course of the playoffs. I'm not sure if you've been able to catch any of the games. I know they've been late, and so we old and we falling asleep.
Like,
And so, but I will say this about SGA's game. His game, he's scoring these points on a mid-range game. He's not shooting. He's not a high-volume three-point shooter. This is not Steph. So he's not shooting over 10 threes a game. He's shooting under 10 threes a game, and he's putting up 32, 38, 35. He's getting to the line a lot. I really, 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 really like his game. I know you've seen him play in the past. What's some of your thoughts on SGA and what he's been doing in the
yeah.
playoffs?
You like his game for the reason that our generation likes his game is because he is a complete ball player. He's not
Mm-hmm.
relying on the dunks. Like you said, he's not relying on the threes. That mid range game, and it's always been talked about with almost every iteration of NBA, the mid range game is just not there anymore. It's just not there anymore. Well, he has it back. And yeah, he got the MVP and he was MVP candidate last year. But if you actually think about it, he's so not high profile like an Ant-Man, like a Giannis.
Yeah, true.
He's not, he just kind of plays in that system and with his team. And I think we absolutely love that. I think the boy is a killer. And it was really hard to evaluate him because they played OKC, they played late games, but seeing him in the playoffs, you really appreciate what he brings to the court.
Yeah, he scored 38 last night and only shot 2 3-pointers. Made one. That's crazy. That's crazy. He played 42 minutes. He was 12 of 21 from the field. He only shot two 3-pointers and hit one. He was 13 to 15 from the line. So he's getting to the basket
Getting to the
and
line.
he's getting to the line and he's getting to the back. He's very efficient. And yeah, that's crazy because in today's game, like you said, it's all threes. It's threes or dunks, and that's about it.
Hmm.
Like if you look at what Anthony Edwards shot last night, he was 1 for 9 from 3-point land last night. Um, and OKC, they're not a high percentage 3-point shooting team. I mean, the most 3-pointers shot last night was by Lou Dort, and he shot 7 3-pointers and hit 2 of them last night. But you had a couple players with 6. One player didn't attempt any, and then, like I said, SGA he only attempted 2. And so, yeah, just they play a great style of ball, man. They're great defensively. They're very flexible. You got a lot of great two-way players on that team. I think we did
Hmm.
pick OKC coming out the
We did.
West. And
We did.
so we're not surprised by this. They're doing what we thought they would do. Now in the East, big game the other night. The Pacers come back from 14 points down with under 3 minutes remaining in
Wow.
regulation. Tyrese Halliburton hit a game-tying shot to send the game to overtime, and which the Pacers eventually won. Halliburton has done this at least 3 times so far in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, someone pulled up some metric where he has the best shot making percentage in crunch time in the league, right next to um, the guy for the Knicks, right next to him. And so they are this is just a surprise to me. I don't even want to say they are a surprise team. I mean, right next to Jalen Brunson. Excuse me, because I was a little stuck for names. But he hit that shot and then he hit him with the
You know what that was?
yes.
That's
He
the
looked
Reggie
right at
Miller.
Reggie.
Yeah,
Reggie like Reggie,
yeah.
look. Reggie
The
was like
throwback.
Reggie was
The
like yeah
throwback.
yeah. Now if he would have hit the three and the game ended like that, that would have been cold.
Well, well, he may not have hit the three to end the game, but they took the ball out and he threw the ball to Cat. Like, here, take this. And
Right.
Cat just, I mean, come on, that's cold right there. And
He colder than his daddy.
Cat was probably like, why'd you give me that? What'd you give me that for?
Why- don't do cat
Oh
like that.
God,
Don't do
y'all
cat
know,
like that because he
you
got a
know,
little
Cat.
zest. He
You
got a
know,
little
Cat is
zest on
really
him.
zesty. Hey man, so everything I said
Excuse
about
me.
SGA
Mhm.
is almost the opposite when we're talking about Halliburton. The dude is everywhere. Listen, he hit that shot was probably like, who's your daddy now? Who's your
Right,
daddy now? I mean, the boy is just flashy. And to add insult to any injury, he was voted by the players the most overrated player in the NBA. He was voted that
right.
by the players, and here he is in the Eastern Conference Finals winning games. Did you see the TikTok where they are comparing him to Steve Urkel? How Steve Urkel was playing in one of the episodes. I've
Yeah.
got to send it to you.
Well, it's
It-
Steve and Stefan. Was it
no, this was
Stefan that
Steve.
was playing?
No, this
Okay,
was Steve. This was
okay.
Urkel, and he looks exactly. I mean, the moves they're making look exactly the same. I've got to send it to you. It had me
Yeah,
crying. But
yeah,
shout out to Tyrese Halliburton, man,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
Indiana Pacers. I think we didn't have the Pacers going. I think we had the Knicks going.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we had the Knicks coming out the
I
East.
might have had the Cavs coming out the East.
We
I
had the
remember.
Cavs. You know what?
Yeah,
You're right. We both
I had
had
the
the
Cavs
Cavs
come.
coming out the East.
I
We didn't
might have
have
had
the
the
Knicks.
Cavs coming
We
out.
had the Cavs coming out the East. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah. So this is going to be an interesting conference final. They're playing right now. I think the score is tied in the first quarter, and so just keeping an eye on that. The tush push, it still lives. It's been a major move by several teams to try to get the tush push banned. The tush push is a signature play by the Philadelphia Eagles when they need a first down or they're inside the 1 yard line and they're going for a touchdown. Uh, I think it was the Detroit Lions that had put forth the vote to see if they could get it banned, and they didn't get enough votes for it to be banned. As a matter of fact, Ravens was one of the teams that voted to keep the tush push. And so, Calvin, what's this? Just a bunch of babies crying about a play they can't stop?
Absolutely. And Detroit got other issues. They just get their asses handed to them by the Commanders,
Yeah,
by Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, and you
yeah,
worried about the Eagles? you,
yeah.
you, you ain't even get,
You worry about a tush push.
and you couldn't even stop. The fucking Commanders were all over you at
Mhm.
the in Detroit, and you worried about that. Yeah, man. It's just a bunch of teams crying. It didn't bother me at all. You know what? The only reason that I would want it banned is because when the Ravens first started doing it, they kept fumbling the motherfucker and messing it
They
up.
they predicted it. They perfected it last year. They were four
They
or
did.
five
They did.
in attempts
They
last year.
did get it straight last year.
They got it
And they
straight.
don't put Lamar in it, which thank you. They don't put
Right,
Lamar in it.
right.
They put Cola in it most of the time now. I know Mark Andrews got some
Mark
bump in
Andrews.
it.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, man, that's the only reason I would want it bad is because the Ravens were fucking it up at first. So
Right.
other than
It's
that,
like nobody else could do it except them. Maybe
like
this is
why
what it
y'all
is.
why y'all crying about it? Like now
Mm,
maybe it's an unstoppable play, but if you think they're going to do it all the way down the field, or if they're doing it just to get the 1 or 2 yards in the first down, then stop them from getting that close.
right.
Play better defense. Like
Right.
I mean, I don't I don't know, man. It's certain things that I just kind of look at and just be like, really? Is that what you're crying about? Like I don't see it as being an issue. If they get on the 1 yard line and you know they're going to score, that just means you got to score. Or how about in the off season? How about you work on the tush push? You know what I mean? You could have your quarterback turn backwards, and you could push him down low with your helmet, and you could call it the dick lick.
All right, with that, let's go to let's go. We started so high with this show.
How about the ball fall?
Pause. Let's keep. Now we're at a segment that everybody knows and loves. We started so high.
I know, man. Where's Leslie? We need our credibility back.
Right. All right. Come on, yo. So I start off with the come on, yo. Come on, black people in Preakness. Now, I know I talked about the Preakness before in a couple of past come on yos, and I was just talking about growing up around the racetrack and the memories of Preakness and what it meant for the neighborhood, which basically nothing. It just meant that people were coming in and invading the neighborhood and then leaving the neighborhood uh, and dirty and trash all over the place and stuff like that. But over you've seen this major push of outreach for black people to attend the Preakness. Now, the Preakness did not have a high amount of black people attending. This was mostly a kind of like a white frat party, if you would. People running on the latrines. Calvin, I mean, when they used to have open container where you can bring in your own liquor into Preakness, bro, they were bringing, I mean, coolers upon coolers upon coolers of alcohol into Pimlico, but they cut that out because people got a little crazy, and so they started promoting the Preakness kind of like as the Kentucky Derby. It's a party, dress up in your seersucker suit and come out and have a cigar and some nice whiskey or brandy and watch the races. And I'm not necessarily mad at black people about falling into this. I mean, they had to come get the black dollar because they were cutting out the dollar of drunk white people. So they needed some new dollars to get, and so they've targeted black people to come to the Preakness. But I think we should be appalled because when you look around that neighborhood of where Pimlico is, you realize the city and the state have just let that neighborhood fall into such disrepair and disillusion. I mean, if you go a block up Belvedere Road across Park Heights, man, there's nothing but vacants from Park Heights all the way to Ricestown Road. If you go down, now we're starting to see some development around Woodland and Park Heights. A lot of great groups, nonprofits have been building up there. But as you go back into some of these neighborhoods, man, there's such strong pockets of vacant properties, and there's no business on Park Heights. Where's the supermarket? Where's the fresh food? Everything's a liquor store or a hair shop. We got to have better commerce. And so, while it's great to be partying, I like to have a good cigar. I like to have a good whiskey, but we also should keep our eye on the neighborhood. Let's start holding the city officials. Brandon Scott, he in there in this seersucker, him and his wife. I saw bald head Obama down there, Governor Moore. They're all having a good time. That's why I call him Calvin, bald head Obama.
Uh,
And so, you know,
yeah.
everybody's having a great time. But as I watch them racing, they make turn one. I'm like, hold up, all right, that's Park Heights and Belvedere, right across there. Ain't nothing but vacant properties, but you don't see it from TV. They make turn two. Okay, they going down Belvedere towards Sinai. It's a whole bunch of vacants on that side, but you don't see them. And so I understand. TV they don't want to show the despair. But I hope while we're partying, while we going in looking good, with our bougie selves, as black people like to say, that we don't take our eye off the ball about the lack of investment in the total investment and disinvestment in that neighborhood. It's got to get better. And so maybe with it going to Laurel, let's see if black people still show up around then and do something in the neighborhood besides come and have some mint juleps and a black eye Susan and then
So yeah, it's always been a celebration of the horse racing industry. It's a celebration of Baltimore, but it's not a celebration of the neighborhood. Um, just in being kind of in the inside and then reading some articles, one of the major pushes now when they are rebuilding Pimlico is to right now they're obligated to give back to the Park Heights neighborhood. I want to say it's 10% now.
leave. Calvin, they
That's
were
not
supposed to have been
supposed to
doing that.
start. Well, that's not supposed to start until a
Hmm.
year after
Hmm.
they get back to Pimlico. That's when it's supposed to start. But in the meantime, there are advocates, and I'm sorry I don't recall the name of the young lady, but there's an advocate for Park Heights that is working really
Yeah, you
closely
had some
with
great
them
organizations. I mean, you had Park
to
Heights
get things.
Renaissance. They
Yeah.
built up all those buildings down on Woodland and Park
So
Heights. They're doing a
yeah,
great job. I just
so
think they
we'll
need to do
see.
more. So we'll see.
Yeah, well,
We'll
they do.
see.
That's what I'm saying. She's trying to hold them accountable to do more.
Yeah,
We'll
we
see.
need to see more.
And I only say that with I want to say with optimism, but I do remember when Port Covington was going through the same thing. They were obligated to subsidize housing in the Cherry Hill neighborhood and all, and somehow they kind of got out of that. We know the casino is supposed to give money back to the schools, and what people don't know is that the casino is doing it, but the problem is as the casino's revenue raised, what they were given back didn't raise, so
Mhm.
that remained the same.
It's always a
um
loophole. It's always
that was
something.
the
It's always
that was
something.
the loophole.
And,
Yeah.
and I love the plans for the neighborhood. I want to see the neighborhood turn, but our plan, I'll say our plan because although I'm in Hartford Hills, Baltimore is still in my heart. Our plans usually involve just moving people out. We don't have a plan to keep people there and to make it better. The plan for changing a neighborhood is always move the people out and bring new people
Hmm.
in and make it too expensive for other people to come back. And that just
Hmm.
can't continue to be the plan anymore. We've got to do better to let's take care of the people that are there.
Yeah,
And
and that's what they're addressing.
yeah,
That's how they're trying to do
they're
it.
trying to do it, and
Again,
hopefully
we'll
we'll see.
see. I'm holding out optimism for it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So the plans will start going into effect very soon. So that'll just be the
Yeah,
construction plans of it.
I
So
want
we'll
to
see
see
what
what
happens.
happens. I hope it looks different in the 2 years when it comes back from Laurel.
Me too. Me too. My come on, yo. I went to a graduation at Coppin State College
Oh Lord,
today.
were they doing boots on the ground?
No, they weren't. They weren't.
Thank God.
I'm not even gonna disparage the graduation in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Come on, yo. Come on, guests to the graduation. I'm talking about you parents, you cousins, you
Oh
uncles, aunts, friends. I
yeah.
was there because my son's girlfriend invited me to her graduation. Shout out Adrian, who got her degree in political science from Coppin State. So shout out to Adrian. Um, but come on, guests. So I'm holding seats. We everybody holding seats. If you go to graduation, everybody's holding seats. Everybody's holding
You just get
seats.
ready to get in a fight.
Not quite. But this is what I'm gonna say. Come on, yo. This lady gonna come up to me and is like, you holding those seats. Now, mind you, graduates are already seated. The program has already started. I'm still holding seats. Still, like a few people, still holding seats. She come in late and say to me, you still holding these? Are these seats taken? I'm like, yeah, I'm holding the seat. She gonna look and be like, well, they need to get here, don't they? And I looked at her and was like you just got here? Come on, yo. Late people cannot beget late people. If you gonna be late, you just suffer the late consequences. If you ain't had nobody to hold the seat for you, oh well, ma'am. Oh well, where was Uncle Tony at? You ain't had no cousin Junebug that can hold your seat for you. God forbid it's your child graduating and you just getting there, ma'am. You late and then gonna be mad because I'm holding seats for somebody that's late. It ain't my fault. You ain't got no friends. Go on Facebook. You can find you some friends there. Can somebody? Hey, good morning, everybody. Can somebody hold me a seat? That's all you gotta type in. That's all you got to. Come on, yo. Oh, yo, at Miss Ma'am.
Yo at.
Come on, B. Oh, well, they need to get
Yo at.
here, don't they? And I literally looked at it, was like you just got here? Like, the fuck?
Wow. Hey, I'm surprised you still here because I've done seen people then scrapped over these holding the
Well,
seats at graduation.
I should have just said to the back, girl. All the way back there where their seats at.
How late was she?
The
Was like
program had
15 minutes, 20
no.
minutes?
So the doors opened at 8. She probably rolled in there about 9:45,
Okay.
10 o'clock.
Yeah,
Like
that's that's bad though. Yeah, that's bad.
the graduates have already been seated.
So they
They've
already
already done
dismissed then.
the introduction. They already did the opening. You know what I mean? Now
They do
now
they
you just
they're going through the program.
yeah, they're going through the program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is probably what made it even more mad. So I get a call from the people I'm holding seats for, who's my son, the
Hmm.
his girlfriend's mother and sister. I'm holding seats for them. And
Right.
he like, oh no, dog, we sitting over here. You can come over here. So I ain't even had to hold the seats no more. So I got
Yo,
up.
caught you.
I got up and told the lady that was sitting, I was like, hey, you can spread down if y'all want to spread out. Because, of course, like black people, they brought too many people for their seats. So they sitting, cop and seats were close together. So they sitting two and
Right.
three in the seat for two. Come on, yo. That's another thing. Come on, count the right number. But anyway, I was able to move down so they could spread out. And the
Hmm.
lady that I
She
said
saw
something
you.
to was standing in the back. She saw me because I got up and walked to the back and met my son back there. She saw me, and I know she was probably like, "This mother,
Right.
this fat
Fat mama.
motherfucker, you
You big black creep. I
fucking
need to
you
cuss
ugly
your
mother,
ass.
whatever." Come on, yo, black people. I ain't even telling you got to get there on time, but when you get there late, you get what you get. You can't be mad and be smart because somebody holding a seat for somebody. You can't be
That's
mad
right.
about it. Get
That's
what you
right.
get. Get
That's
what you
right.
get. Or you can do like I saw somebody on the other side do. Go get the police. Go get this campus police who walked over to a row and was like shaking his head like, 'cause I think he was like, no, you're not holding nobody's
Right.
seats no more. They sitting
That's
there.
what I'm
Get the
saying.
police. Go get the police, ma'am. Call 911.
Yeah,
Black Karen.
that's a fight right there.
Black
Holding these
Karen is
daggone seats.
Charlene.
Boy,
Come on, yo.
my bro about to bend no B.I.G show this evening. My man's about to be throwing bows up in the
Yeah.
convocation center at Coppin.
I couldn't believe the chick was like, they need to get here. Man, like you just got here. Like, ma'am, are you fucking
And
serious?
then and then you get up and move and go to another seat.
I was like, I should have walked by and been like, my bad, hoe.
Right.
My bad, hoe. I know.
Calvin,
I
you
my
should have
seat,
went right back to her
my
and said,
seat's over
hey,
there.
you can have the seats.
Nope. I said it to the lady that was her people were too many because they was nice to me. We was talking the whole
Right.
time, and I was like, "Hey, it's all
You
you,
was like,
man. You can have
yeah.
all four. You can have all four of these. Four for four.
Hey, was nice meeting you. Congratulations. You can have all these seats. I wish you the best.
Listen." And then she barely let me get out the seat before she slid her old ass down. Anyway, man, hey, another great show we had. Hey, we want to thank Leslie Gray Streeter for coming in, talking about her book, giving us some education on Baltimore. Make sure you go get her book, Family and
Yes.
Other Calamities. You can do the
Yes.
online version, as I mentioned, Audible and
Yes.
Kindle. You can get them for free until June the 1st. You can
It's
do
a
the
good
published
read. I'm
version.
about 5 chapters in. Very good read. Pick it up.
You can also see her on the Baltimore Banner, and I will try to get some contact information for her to put in the show description if you
Yeah.
want to reach out to her about anything.
Definitely great. And next week we're going to make sure we talk about the shy. I did watch a little bit of the first episode, and
Uh, uh,
yeah,
uh,
They making up shit.
I spent I spent the last 2 or 3 seasons telling Garland, it's getting better. It's getting
No, it
better.
ain't. No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
They I'll you know what, I'll save my comment till next week
Yo,
when I've been able to watch
they making up.
episode 2 of this season. So but other than that, man, you
Jake
got
the
anything
Snake.
you
What
want?
happened to Jake the Snake face? He got beat up. I'm like, is that Jake the Snake? He ain't got a new hairstyle. Jake the Snake still got the same locks that he had when he was in elementary school when they started.
Anything else you want to tell the people, man, while I hit this outro?
Nah, man. Just y'all have a good Memorial Day weekend, y'all. Be safe out
We are live on YouTube. I think we're live on Facebook.
You
You
have
can
been
check us
listening
on all the
to the
podcast
B.I.G. Show.
platforms and see our beautiful
This show
faces
was
on
produced and written
Spotify.
by Calvin Coates and Garland Thomas for All Things Black Productions. Follow us on all of your podcast
Like,
media platforms.
What happened to Jake the Snake?
Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Later, God.